So our project is called Independent City because we are trying to build as many functions in our quartier like as possible to position it as everywhere around the world where it's needed. So can you go on the next slide on the analysis? So this is our space, like between the bridges and nearby Danube. And as it seems, it's like a really long space, and we were trying to build as much housing as possible. The next one. So we have the analysis of the public transport. Nearby are train stations, metro stations, bus stations, and also on the lower one, it's like bike lanes, because in Vienna we have like a lot of bike lanes, and you can go everywhere, I think, with the bike right now. The next one. We also analyzed, because of the solar, of the solar panels, the solar and the wind potential. It's like the space is between the bridges, and like the most of the space is south oriented, and we can use that for our energy, like for sustainable energy and sustainable building. And this purple one is our wind potential, and we are trying to build. We tried to analyze that and try to build the buildings that are trying to make a barrier for our quartier to not be as windy as it's shown right now on this page. And we as architects, we're trying to build flexible and sustainable housing to put up with this rising demand for living spaces. And in this, with this in mind, Independent City attempt to meet the demands of flexible, economical, and self-sustaining housing. We are trying, we wanted to be as flexible as possible, because we can dismantle these modules quickly and transport it to somewhere else where it's needed. And for example, in this area in Vienna, we have nearby a lot of functions like doctor's office, police station, schools, kindergartens, and it's also in the nearby Danube, so also with like a lot of activities in green, like in the and we wanted to create modules as flexible as possible to maybe in some areas around the world where it's needed, can be in our modules, can be a shop, like a grocery shop, a kindergarten, a classroom for kids to learn the language or something like that, or also kindergarten for the small children. They're not going to school. And those modules are also included in our quartier. Of course, the buildings are made of wooden modules, which can be dismantled quickly and transported where they're needed. One more, please. Thank you. That's our concept. We tried to build a centrum in the middle, and that's everything like connected, and that you don't have to walk more than 3 to 5 minutes from one end to another, or from one function, or from one free space to another. On the rooftops, there are solar panels, of course, and the spaces for urban gardening. Also on the ground floor, we have different functions, and they allow more self-reliance for its inhabitants. One more, please. Thank you. So we've seen that was our like concept idea. How would it function like on this construction area between the bridges and nearby Danube? We tried to open up the spaces to make like as much as possible living spaces, but also this spaces between have like different functions, and every space has different functions. We can see it then on Lageplan. Next one. So like the concept of the free spaces is to connect the rest of the spaces between the buildings with different functions. We have two main axes through this construction area between the bridges, and those are like horizontal axes, the upper one and the lower one. Dominic, can you show it like with the mouse or something?
Which one specifically, or
the upper one and the low? So the upper one.
Can you see the mouse?
Achse. Laubengang.
I'm not sure if. All right.
This one. Genau. Yeah, that's the one. That's the upper one, and it's like semi-open, semi-public. It's a corridor connecting like the flats and the buildings together, and the spaces, semi-public spaces between. The lower one is like main avenue through our constructing area, and it's connecting like big free spaces, and also the upper buildings and the lower buildings with each other. Those two axes are connected with like small axes, and those are like stairs with backs on it to sit, read, and everything else. We have here 4 examples of how we planned the free spaces. We are trying to connect, like not to distinguish like the construction area. So we wanted to connect this whole into one. So that's why this axis as the main avenue, as main road, and along this axis you have different functions. You have like examples for garden spaces with barbecue, for example, urban farming, playground for children, like main space, like center of it all, then basketball court and park and so on. Yeah, those are like our modules for the free spaces, and we try to connect it with each other because we are aware of it, that mostly women and children are coming, and like older people. So how to connect those 3 groups is like you have a huge park and maybe a playground or urban farming in it, so they can all communicate with each other, also help each other, and like, yeah, that's it.
One more thing I want to say about the the concept of how we planned out the city and the green spaces and all the surrounding areas, we wanted to densely build the area to make as much living space as possible. And the idea is to do this without concreting all the floors and having to build many foundations. So the construction is lightweight, and even though we encompass a lot of the space, when the city moves, we will leave hopefully no trace. And also with the green spaces like the tennis court and the basketball court and the stairs and all that will stay after the city moves. So we can improve the area for the locals living in Vienna and temporarily for those living in the independent city. And when we move, we take the house modules and the green spaces stay the same. So we enhance the park that is already there and hopefully leave no trace with how the construction is working out. And on that note, as the other groups have already told you, we are doing modules, and our modules are made with lightweight timber frame construction and cross-laminated timber on top and the bottom. And we have two different sizes of modules, or two different systems, basically. One is 3.5 by 3.5 meters, and one is 2.45 times 6.1. And why that is because we wanted to have larger modules to encompass greater living spaces. But the downside of that is that we can only transport them via truck, and to have more flexibility in how the city moves and at the speeds of how quickly we can transport our modules, we also made some in smaller sizes that are like bigger living communities in one space. And there are less of them in the entire city, but they are more quickly to deliver and more easily so. And on the top here, you can see like the 3.5 is only transportable by truck, whereas the smaller ones are transportable by truck, ship, and train. And we put all the examples there in one big pile-up. But for the system, we have on the left column smaller ones that are basically 2 modules wide, and then we have larger ones that are 3 modules wide. And there's variations depending on where are the terraces. Sometimes they're on the outside, sometimes they're towards the corridor. And on the bottom here, you can see the smaller modules. They make up larger living communities, and they have a large space shared in the middle. And this space is also meant to be a bit more flexible depending on these are the first ones to arrive. These ones are the ones that can be have to be more flexible and in its use. And on the right side, we have some examples on how flexible the modules are as a whole. They were all designed with change in mind, like cities living, and also our independent city. To be independent has to be flexible in a way. And so we planned the modules to have not only housing functions, but also public functions, or be flexible in a way to modify them without too many steps, basically. So we have a module that is that has a doctor's office, then we have a kindergarten, we have a school, we have a shop, and it's all encompassed in like this module right here. And with all this flexibility, we hope to also keep the city a bit more independent next to this to the aspect of energy and foundations and all that. And with that, to some floor plans. This, for example, is the smaller modules which I've shown you before, and the modules themselves, the sleeping areas, are smaller, obviously, but they have a larger living space, and we always try to make a trade-off here. Like the sleeping quarters are smaller, but they also always feature a larger common space, and in a way to also make these people that come here have a chance to get to know each other and socialize. And here you can also see the height difference. This is in the, no, what's the English word? The Schnitt.
Section.
Thank you. Here on the left we have the smaller modules. They are sometimes extended, sometimes pushed in. It's and the width of the module stays the same, but sometimes they are longer and shorter. And up here we'll get a glimpse to the next slide, the upper construction on the protection wall. And we have in total 4 different building types, basically. With the rapid modules here, then we have the upper wall construction with the 3.5 meters raster, and on the tracks down here we have a sideways version of that to optimize the space. And something to be said about this area is also how the facades of the modules are working. You can get a quick glimpse on these renderings, but basically there's we wanted to represent how the modules are constructed in the facade with timber on one side, and to bring more colors in and to change it up. We have also metallic surfaces in several colors, and it's also a bit to color code which city, which housing block you're living in, and to make the entire area a bit more colorful. And on the bottom here, you can see a rendering of the corridor between the modules, and this is designed to be a sociable space. We want that's runs through the entire project to allow these people to meet each other and to socialize, and also to make this corridor a place you want to stay and verweilen. Basically a comfortable space. We wanted to bring as much light in there as possible, and that's why we have a lot of these large openings in the floors. Of course, these corridor panels are also modular, so they are fitting in the raster 3.5 by 3.5. And I hope this works here. I was hoping to show off a bit of the model, but I think on the small camera it's difficult to see. But with this this cut through here, you can hopefully see the different layers of the corridor and how light travels down. And onto the next one. This is the upper construction here. On there was an old dock there, so we have a bit more broader side, and these are oriented like courtyards. So we have like a courtyard in the center of the construction, and we have like modules arranged with the corridor we had before around a central space that is looking up out onto the Danube. And as you can see here in the rendering, we also this is the area where, for example, the sitting stairs are, or the basketball court, and of course urban gardening and so on. And with that, we thank you for your attention.